Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Home Performance Advocate podcast. Today's an awesome episode. We're going to have a special guest with us, and we'll go ahead and just jump right in and have him introduce himself. So, Clay, you want to go ahead and tell us who you are, what your role is, and how you got into home performance?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me on. I'm Clay McCombe. I work for DRCOG, which is a Denver regional government agency. So smaller than the state, larger than a local government. We represent around 59 cities and towns in the greater metro area of Colorado. And I'm a program manager here, really focused on workforce development and industry development, part of a larger building decarbonization initiative that we're launching here in Denver. So that's a little bit about me and what I do. It's a weird path that brought me here, but you always meet the right people for the right reasons. So formerly I worked for the city of Denver, and that's kind of what brought me to DRCOG.
Okay. Yeah, and then when you were doing work before, was that still home performance related, or was it something entirely different than you jumped into this type of trade from there?
Yeah, I'd say my journey here started in workforce development more than home performance. I worked for a nonprofit a few years ago that really focused on helping individuals that were leaving the prison system get back into the workforce. So that involved going into prisons, working with men and women prior to them getting out, and then helping them out with resources to get stable jobs, careers, and ultimately just find a legal means of income instead of going back to prison. So that kind of sparked my passion for helping people find the right career path for them. I moved over to the city of Denver in their climate office, and I was hired. They essentially told me, hey, we need someone to help grow the heat pump workforce. And I remember in my interview, I asked, well, what's a heat pump?
Okay.
Which was probably the worst question I could have asked. Like, way to sell yourself. But I just, I said, I have experience getting people into industries. I know how to connect community resources. If heat pumps are really the niche industry that we're looking to get folks into, then I will obsess over this technology and just be a sponge and learn everything I can about it. And that started my journey into electrification and the HVAC industry, which has bled into home performance and weatherization, electrical work, sheet metal, pipe fitters. I've really gone down the trades rabbit hole because of that job at Denver. So it's heat pumps in particular. I just feel like they're magic technology. I think it's the biggest action we can take towards mitigating, climate change. And they're great, more than jobs, just careers for people to get into with huge demand. So that's kind of how I fell into this and gotten so obsessed, really.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that sponging process. How did you start learning? Like, what resources did you go to? How did you gain that knowledge?
Yeah. When I first started, I think Parker was one of the first people I met. I attended Xcel Energy's heat pump training, which they hold 2 a year. Xcel is the biggest gas and electric utility in Colorado, and they have a huge initiative and funding to increase electrification across the region. So they hold these heat pump trainings, and I think so often government agencies create solutions for problems nobody asked for, or they create a solution for an industry that they've never spoken to.
Yeah.
And so really going into this as a kind of non-government minded person, I was like, if this is all about the HVAC industry or home performance contractors, I need to meet with as many people in the trades as I can and just sit down and just like tell them what sucks. What about the Excel program really pisses you off, or the CASR rebates? What is frustrating about them? Or you don't believe in heat pumps or you don't install heat pumps. Why is that? And fortunately, people in the trades do not hold back about telling you what makes them angry or is
Yeah.
frustrating. So I got a
Yeah.
lot of really good feedback from a lot of pissed off contractors. And yeah, I just obsessed over meeting with as many folks as I could just to hear the different perspectives and try and notice trends along the way through those conversations and relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been everywhere, Clay. I just, if I'm talking to somebody new, and you're talking like, oh yeah, I know this person, it always gets back to you. So
5
you're the
degrees of
glue, man.
separation. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Being connected and digging into the trades. And let's talk a bit about DRCOG. What is DRCOG? And you mentioned it a little bit, but maybe expound that. What are the main goals of DRCOG and yeah, expound that a bit. What is that program?
Yeah, so like I said, it's a regional council of governments. So first of all, not a doctor's office.
Yeah.
I think that's what everyone thinks we are. But
Yeah.
like, who is this doctor? No, yeah, councils of governments are definitely a thing, and I didn't know they were before working here. But they're all over the country. There's councils of governments that really just act as a connector of local governments. So here we represent, like I said, 59 different cities and towns. So, Denver is obviously in that region, Boulder, Broomfield, Arvada, Aurora, all the way down to Castle Rock, 9 different counties that really vary on the political spectrum too. Boulder versus Castle Rock, for example, you're going to have a very different ideology with those 2 regions. So, but getting, largely DRCOG focuses on transportation planning, mobility, crash data analytics, how to make our roads and transportation safer. We also host the 2nd largest bike to work day in the country. So a lot of mobility and city planning stuff, really nothing to do with heat pumps or electrification at all. And so when when I'm in this role and I'm telling people I work for DRCOG, I think I get some eyebrows raised because, what is DRCOG doing with heat pumps and electrification?
Yeah.
They decided to apply for an EPA grant back in 2024 called the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant. And this is under the Biden administration. And really, we applied for 300 different entities applied across the country, and only 25 winners were selected. And DRCOG was one of those 25. And we went for an enormous amount of funding, $200 million DRCOG went for, really in this effort to shift the market, do a market transformation from natural gas burning appliances like furnaces and water heaters, and using a variety of techniques to transition the market towards more energy efficient options tied to insulation and weatherization and things like that. But really our goal is market transformation in an effort to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and improve Denver's air quality, which is some of the worst in the world, honestly.
Is that how the GAP training programs came to fruition too, through that same grant, and kind of as part of that overarching goal that you were just speaking to?
Totally. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. That's a part of it. When the DRCOG said they were going to go after this funding, they asked their member governments, "Hey, we're going to go after this. What would you want to see in this $200 million program? Like, what measures?" And the number 2 most voted topic was workforce development. How is this going to create jobs and help boost our local economies? And so that's where I was brought into the picture. They reached out to me working at Denver and said, "Hey, you're in workforce, you do heat pump workforce. Can you design some ideas for programs to help the workforce, both the contractors and the new workforce?" So I wrote the GAPS, you mentioned GAPS, the growth access programs. I wrote the GAPS ideas 2 years ago as part of this application. and a few other ideas I jotted down as well, not thinking it would ever turn into anything, just, helping out with this application. I did not know it would lead to me basically creating my own job and creating these programs that are now so real. Like it's a dream come true. I really can't believe I get to do this.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was going to ask, so you probably played a big role in the justice impacted population gap training program, correct? Is that mainly because of your background? That's something you were excited to do?
So, I mean, they just said, create some programs you think would be cool. And so no one asked me to do this. Because of that background, exactly, I was like, man, I have this opportunity, this blank slate to create whatever training program I want. And I have this huge passion for the prison system and getting people work coming out of it. And then I have this other new passion for heat pumps and climate action. It's like, if I have the freedom to combine the two somehow, I should do that. And it's been hard convincing DRCOG and all the governments, like, you're going into prisons, you're training people on heat pumps, what are you doing? But like, I've ultimately made the argument that this is going to create safer communities when we're getting people good jobs, less strain on the taxpayers from our mass incarceration issue. And Colorado is one of the worst states about people going back to prison. We're 46% of people who leave prison go back in Colorado, and the national average is in the 20s. So Colorado is really bad about getting people, workforce is proven to keeping people out of prison. So why wouldn't we want that? Safer communities, So yeah, man, I get to do it. And it's my life's work, I think, to get to combine those two areas in the way that we're going to do it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I couldn't really think of a better way to like bring that recidivism rate down rather than get these people high quality technical jobs and provide the training for that, because these jobs aren't going anywhere either. As I'm sure heat pumps are blasting into the market. So this is a huge opportunity for that population, I think.
I think it's already happening, right? When I talk to, I also do more contractor conversations like I always do. But I'll ask, I'm like, hey, what are your fair chance hiring practices? Like, if someone has a, low level felony from however many years ago, would you hire them? And they're like, oh, half my staff, like the best people on my staff have some sort of record. And it's because they take it so seriously now, this second or third or fifth chance that they have, they're not going to mess up. They've seen their freedom taken away, and that's why they're showing up early and going above and beyond for customer service, is because they have a different motivation than the person who's complaining about showing up on a Monday morning.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that within the Blue Sky training as well, right? As we train more and more contractors and things, we see, and we like to ask questions similar to that, just to kind of get some demographics and thoughts around all of the training pieces. And we've noticed that as well. And I think it's really cool for people to get that second chance, or fifth chance, or whatever it happens to be, once it finally clicks for them, right? They're like, oh, this is real. I need to actually do something good with my life. And then now they have a good paying job that they can really dive into and get, get into that technical side and really increase their career trajectory, right? Where they might not have had that opportunity otherwise.
Yeah, the trainer we're going to have going into facilities to do training, he's a living example. His company is Vision Transition, but this gentleman, Joseph Johnson, he was incarcerated previously, got out, got into an HVAC apprenticeship, found out it was a very lucrative career, started his own business, and then felt the need, like, I need to tell more people in the prison system about this opportunity, what it's given me. So he actually wrote a book called, I think it's called The Felon's Guide to an HVAC Career. It's on Amazon. You can buy it. But I mean, just talk about like paying it forward and showing that lived experience. Hey, I've been locked up. I've been in your shoes, but there is a different path if you're willing to put in the work.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Cool.
Is that the Power Ahead Colorado program, or is Power Ahead Colorado something a little different, or is it just a name transition? What is Powerhead Colorado?
It's a great question. It's all under the Powerhead Colorado umbrella. So that $200 million grant that DRCOG won, that is the brand of this $200 million is Powerhead Colorado. People don't really know what DRCOG is, so we thought we might have more success with a different brand name than just
rebrand.
DRCOG or decarbonization. Like, that's not a very sexy word. Like, what does that mean? And heat pumps even are kind of confusing to the average person. So we hired a marketing firm and we went through a ton of names and a ton of logos, but after a lot of community input and research, we found Powerhead Colorado to be kind of the most approachable, branding we could come up with. And it's a whole suite of services that are going to be within that Powerhead Colorado brand. But yes, the training programs, the workforce programs are all under the umbrella of Powerhead Colorado.
Okay. Yeah, good. Thank you for clearing that up. I was confused on all the different branding pieces. We run into that problem a lot where, decarbonization or other words like fiber, blown fiberglass, just not sexy. You got to find a way to get it into the market, and that itself is its own issue. So that's good. That's funny. Now, what other types of services and programs are a part of Powerhead Colorado besides the one we've already talked about?
Totally. Yeah. Well, first of all, for marketing, I mean, you're going to see Powerhead Colorado everywhere in 2026. Billboards, we have a suite of billboards that are going to be posted, bus stations. We bought some ad space with the Denver Broncos for next season, so we'll be on the pregame, report, go Broncos. And so, we're going to be advertising, but overall, looking at the different, factors that affect a market transition, there's going to be incentives. So similar to CASR's rebates and Excel Energy's rebates, and now the State Energy Office Homes and Her rebates, we're going to have our own incentive rebate program where folks can get a discount on the cost of a heat pump right now. And how we implement that is still being decided, but it could be a midstream rebate that goes right to the distributor. So it's cheaper for a contractor to purchase that equipment at the point of sale. Or it could be downstream where, the customer's getting it or the contractor gets it and passes along the savings. But we're going to have close to $40 million in incentives. And our funding is lasting through October of 2029. And so we'll have incentives available that will help with the cost, and those are going to be stackable with other incentive programs too. So these will be stackable with Excel Energy's rebates, things like that.
That's huge.
That's a big one. Separate from that, we're launching an entirely separate low-income program, which is going to be 1,600 low-income residences that are completely retrofitted free of charge to the customer.
Oh, wow.
So incredibly excited about that program, just getting to, think really carefully about how do we improve air quality and make appliance upgrades to communities that have really, poor air quality affects the most.
Yeah.
And help them out in a way that is not going to have unintended consequences. So we'll have that program as well. And then some policy work. We have Colorado's a home rule state, so each of those 59 cities and towns have their own performance standards and code adoption and struggles with building performance measures. So we're awarding formula funding to each city and town in order that they can use for a variety of reasons. Hire staff to help with building performance measures is the most common use, but anything, whatever an individual city or municipality wants to use our funding for to help building performance policy advance, we'll be awarding that as well.
And you guys are also implementing the Green Workforce Hub, right?
Yep, that's another one of the programs I wrote when we were applying for this. So the 5 programs under my umbrella are the 3 GAPS programs, which are justice impacted, heat pump training, multilingual heat pump training and young adult heat pump training. Then we have the green workforce hubs, which we're going to have 5 green workforce centers that are going to be stood up, launching in January, where we can connect anyone to a training opportunity in the green trades, much like Blue Sky. And then lastly, we have the Colorado Contractor Hub, which is more focused on existing industry.
So how would a training provider like Blue Sky connect with the Green Workforce Hub? Like, what is your dream scenario in terms of the synergy there?
Yeah, this is a great question. I just got to say, and it's Chance, right?
Yes.
Chance is asking the really good questions. I just got to say, shout out to Chance. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest kept secret that local governments have is that they have workforce centers. So I don't know if people listening know this, but there are local offices where, Denver has a whole department that is dedicated to getting you a job. So you, an unemployed individual, can walk into this government office and sit down with a career coach and say, I need a job, and I'm looking for a job in tech, or I'm looking for a job in, finance or education, and they are paid to help you with your resume, help you with career readiness, connect you to training opportunities, and help get you a job. I don't think a lot of people know that this resource exists. They just rely on ZipRecruiter or Indeed. But a specific focus on the building decarbonization trades is what our funding is going to go towards. So there's going to be green career navigators. You walk in, there's this green workforce hub. I care about the environment. What's a green job? And I think most people don't think about home performance when they think of green careers.
Right.
I think they think of maybe working in agriculture or solar, probably, but
solar comes up a lot there. Yeah.
Yeah. But increasing the building envelope of a home, that's a green job? Yeah, actually it is. And that's actually probably the biggest impact we can make is the energy consumption in our buildings and homes. And so to answer your question, Chance, each of these green workforce hubs is going to have these green career pathways that are established. And so the home performance, energy auditor, whatever career pathway is in this industry, we're going to have different stakeholders that are mapped out, almost like picking a major. And so, if you wanted to connect with the green workforce hubs, definitely get in touch with me. But when a job seeker comes in and they say, yeah, I kind of like working in homes and working with my hands, you'd say, well, here's what the next 2 years will look like. We're going to put you in this training with Blue Sky. And then there's an employer that's agreed to hire graduates of Blue Sky training. They're called ARIS Consulting or ARIS. Anyways, you kind of see where that pathway goes.
Yeah.
So a job seeker could see exactly what they're going to be looking at for the next, year or two or whatever the timeline looks like.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
That is good. What is some of the response that you've gotten to that already?
So it's not launched yet. So do you mean like as far as uptake or just with the concept in general?
Yeah, I get, talking to contractors and stuff, like you said, you go out and you talk to a lot of them. Has this been something that you've been discussing with people, or is this so new? This is kind of one of the first spaces that you've talked about it on.
For the green workforce hubs?
Yeah.
I talk about it a lot. I always ask contractors, where do you go for new talent, or where do you get your new hires from? And it's weird places. I mean, I don't think that there's a good answer right now for where do you get. It's hard to find the things that aren't on a resume is what I've heard the most. Punctuality, respect. So like values-based hiring, that stuff that you can't really see on a resume. You might have someone who's trained on the technical side, but how do I get someone whose character lines up with our company's character? So it's hard. I mean, there's job sites, there's a lot of poaching in the industry of I'll pay you $2 more an hour to do this. So yeah, I mean, I think we need a better solution. There's so many good nonprofits doing workforce training too, that we should be supporting them and not just like poaching or going on Indeed or ZipRecruit. No offense to them, job seeker sites, but there's resources out there that we want to bring to the table.
And Clay, I have a question for you here. As far as like the companies who want to hire people outside of this training, because Blue Sky does try to do partnerships and things like that. So when you get trained, if you don't have a job already, there are companies waiting to, at the very least, interview you, right, to see if you would be a good fit. But is there a way that you're going to have these companies that want to hire, like Harris Consulting, right, be on like a list, or is there, I don't know, incentives to hire people off of this? I don't know. I don't know what the landscape would look like, but I thought maybe you might.
Yeah, there is funding at the Green Workforce Hubs for wraparound services. So if there's ever like barriers to employment, like, well, I don't have transportation to get to the job. We have funding that could help with, bus passes or transportation vouchers, or I need a $200 toolkit to work for this company. Maybe we can pay for that, some of those work tools. So we do think about addressing those barriers. Also, we're going to have on the Power Ahead Colorado website a job board. I just found out it's not something we asked for. One of our vendors just said they could do it pretty easily and keep up with it. So having I know I just talked about job boards and how ineffective they are, but maybe ours will be better. I don't know.
Specialized.
So I think
that's
a
good.
combination of the Green Workforce Hubs, getting in touch with them, sending them any job openings you have so they can kind of hand select, and then using our job board. We'll see. This is kind of an experiment, so it might fail, but I don't think it will. I think if we're intentional about, placing job seekers with the right fit, kind of playing matchmaker, our intentions are good. So, should see some good outcomes.
Yeah, I think you will. I think we will.
Yeah, and I think it's the perfect timing, Clay, because as I'm sure you guys are aware at DRCOG, the HVAC industry in particular is, I don't, not to be rude, but pretty old right now, and that those folks are going to transition out of the workforce in the next 5 to 8 years. And then there's going to be a giant hole, a void in the HVAC industry where we don't have trained, qualified technicians, engineers to fill these gaps. So I think, the Power Ahead Colorado program in its entirety it's kind of perfect timing right now, because if we can start that training and apprenticeship process now, by the time the older folks retire, we'll actually have a workforce in place.
I'm loving everything Chance is spitting right now. when I was at Denver, I got to conduct a study on the numbers of the workforce with heat pumps and where we're at in Denver and in Colorado, and at Chances on the money. Based on our study, not just HVAC, but HVAC related trades, which includes pipe fitters, plumbers, electricians, home energy auditors. He said in the next 10 years, it's expected that a third of the building science trades are set to exit the workforce.
Wow.
Which is just like, again, I think about quitting my government job and becoming a plumber or an HVAC, technician, because I'm just like, the demand alone is just, these guys are writing their own checks. And with such demand, you can also get away with, poor customer service, bad installs, because it's not going to affect the amount of business you get because there's just so much demand. So we really want to create a more competitive market and bring more business owners, more new blood into the industry, instead of convincing the more legacy contractors to adopt heat pumps. Maybe we just need a new wave of businesses coming in that are so focused on home performance and heat pumps.
Yeah, I think if I'm a high school student right now who maybe necessarily doesn't want to get $100,000 in student debt, and they're thinking about, what's a viable career choice for me, that statistic alone, Clay, within the next 10 years, a third of the workforce population drops off. That to me would be all the incentive I needed to say, hey, okay, maybe I don't need to go to a 4-year university. I can go to a trade school or take an apprenticeship program and probably make more money than the vast majority of 4-year degree graduates currently.
Yeah. And then let me clarify real quick. The Screen Workforce Hub, is this the same thing as the Colorado Contractor Hub? That way we're on the same. Oh, this is a different thing. Okay.
I wrote a lot of programs, Cam.
Yeah.
I'm kind of kicking myself because it's a lot to manage now. But yes, different program.
Okay. Well, sweet. Then I think maybe let's talk about what is the Colorado Contractor Hub then. Unfortunately, this is the end of part 1 of our conversation with Clay McCombe of DRCOG. In the next episode, we're going to discuss that Colorado Contractor Hub, as well as some information on some proposed HVAC licensing situation in Colorado. If you want to be alerted when that new episode drops, feel free to subscribe and follow us on Spotify or YouTube. Thank you for listening.